about that. For a time will come when people won't do what? Well, they won't put up with it. Watch what they'll do. Instead, to suit their own desires, they gather around them a great number of teachers to say what their itching ears just want to hear. Do you believe we're there? I think we're there. I mean, I'm just going to step out and go, I think we're there. I'm not a Google master, but I think we're there. I bet if I Googled following own desires, it'd pop up. I bet if I Googled that suiting my own desires, it would pop up. I bet if I just Googled nude, porn, something, I'd get millions and millions and millions and millions of hits. We live our own desires. Everybody in the room's done it. I'm guilty. You're guilty. Been there, done that. We got the T-shirt. Some of you got a three-piece suit. We've done it. We've all done it. I'm just as guilty. We've suited our own desires. But watch what he said. Now, this is prophetic. Now, prophetic means it was written way back when, but it was pointing to a day in the future. That's prophetic. It was written then, but it was pointing to something future. So he said, for a time will come. He's warning you. And he says it in such a way, don't be shocked. Don't go hide in a closet. Don't pull your kids out of school thinking they're going to fall apart. And don't go buy a bunch of cows and move out on a mountain and wait for the end of the world, Y2K, to happen. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Mayan calendar, the 21st. Don't worry. We're all still here. We're all still hanging out. There'll come a time when people just won't put up with sound doctrine. I'll believe a Mayan calendar over doctrine. I'll believe Y2K over doctrine. I'll throw this out there for those of you that love to Google everything. I'll believe Google over doctrine. Well, Google says, WebMD says, and that's good. I'm all for knowledge. But knowledge doesn't necessarily equate to a good life. You can know a lot and still fall apart. Right? All right, now watch. They'll suit their own desires and gather around them a great number of teachers to say what their itching ears want to hear. Now, this is what's being intimated, that if we're not careful, the doctrine will be what I want to hear, not what I need to hear. Right? So this is the challenge. I will ultimately, if not careful, and I don't preserve it and watch out for it, I will ultimately, an entire cultural shift will happen, and we will start living like this, what I want to hear, not what I need to hear. And if what I want to hear doesn't fit with me, then I put my hand up and say, you have no right to judge me. That's not what I want to hear. I don't want to hear that. But how many of you know sometimes what you don't want to hear is what you need to hear? That's everybody in the room that was a kid at one time. Mama, can I have a cookie? I want to hear, yep, but I hear how many of you had. And then Satan rises up in me, and I lie and say none, and I have chocolate all over my mouth. But the reality is, all of us in the room have desires. This is what this scripture says. Everybody in the room has desires. Some may appear more evil than others. A homosexual desire versus just I lust for women or I lust for men desire. I mean, we as humans categorize desires. Oh, those are bad, evil, wicked desires. Put those over there and rate them R or NC-17 or maybe PG-13. But my desires, they're like PG. And occasionally a 13. And sometimes I get mad at the dog and I may move into the R category and drop the F-bomb. But I'm not quite that bad. We're professionals at that. We are professional at labeling everybody else's life of what is acceptable and non-acceptable. We're brilliant. We've been doing that since the church started. Good, and we didn't like it, chop your head off. The Crusades, kill everybody that won't believe what we believe. Murder them all. So what we have to ask ourselves now, we all will have to at least admit today, wherever we fall in the spectrum of our own Christian belief, We all will have to admit that we all have desires, and it's easier to follow desire than it is doctrine. Because doctrine will always challenge you on right versus wrong.